Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Krieg with Intellinair. I'm joined again with Bob Ryan from NVision Ag. We kind of wanted to go back and look at the year, kind of see what's transpired. Thanks, Bob, for joining us here and kind of what's going on in your area and especially around nitrogen.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Kevin. Early yields are pretty spectacular. Fields that are drying down that we monitor with AGMRI and NVision Ag, you can really pick the fields out that NVision recommended additional nitrogen on, either because we applied some nitrogen or a product to fix it, or in some cases we didn't, and those fields are dying prematurely. They're cannibalizing the stalks and the leaves to try to fill the ear. I think this was a perfect year for the tool in that we had above average rainfall. Yes. And we have high kernel counts, high yield potentials. And so versus a normal nitrogen draw on these fields, we needed more to attain maximum yields. And I think what I feel good about, the combines will be the ultimate judge. But I think what I feel really good about is the tool recommended nitrogen, and at least in the imagery and in some of the early yield reports, when we supplemented nitrogen, we made farmers money. A lot of my fields look very similar to the one that I believe you and I looked at in your area in a podcast previous.
Yeah, let's jump into that one, Bob, because I think it was a very interesting result there. So if we go back to this, kind of the last podcast we did, we were looking at this field and it was starting to show some symptoms of lacking nitrogen. So back on June 23rd, and was showing 21.9 bushel an acre loss on that field. So what ended up happening then was on July 2nd, they applied some biostimulants that had a nitrogen component in it as well with the drone. So kind of, again, looking at this field, showing about 22 bushel an acre loss. If we look then as well at the yield forecast on this field, then that was showing basically about 210 bushel per acre is what we were predicting back in that June time frame, which, to your point, it had good rain. The year was set up really good for a high yielding one, and that would have been lower than expected on this field. So again, they applied that on July 2nd. And then if I jump ahead here to July 26th, the yield forecast jumps up to about 230 bushel an acre. And then if we look at the NVision map as well for the yield loss, we virtually eliminated a lot of that nitrogen deficiency on that field and being able to get that yield back for that customer. So I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to that recommendation, being able to see that with the tool, taking action in season, and then being able to see the results here.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point. I think our tool merges up well with some of the new nitrogen technologies that are on the market. So your biological that you mentioned, we're testing a couple other ones in Envita and Source, and we flew some aerial urea on if farmers have or dealers have the capability to do that. But the point being, I think marrying these technologies with our tool gives the farmers an actual solution to fix in-season problems. And so I'm excited for the combines to tell us how those trials did.
Yeah, exactly. I think that'll be the tell at the end of the year to be able to see exactly where this yielded. But I think, yeah, to your point, this is a very positive thing with all the tools that farmers have available to be able to address the crop needs in season, right? It's important to understand what the crop is doing and being able to get out there and treat it as soon as they can. So this was a great example of being able to do that and get 20 bushel an acre back in the combine in the bins at the end of the year.
And I think, I'm telling my growers, as the combines hit these fields, pay attention to your test weights, pay attention to the integrity of the plants. And if your plants are cannibalizing themselves more than normal and starting to affect standability, or if your test weights are starting to come down in a high yield crop year, those are pretty good indications that extra nitrogen would have paid. And then if they did our imagery, you could go back in time and see what our tools recommended and marry that up with what you're actually seeing in the field. so that we just become better and better in the future.
Exactly. Yep. I think it's a great way. That's probably a good way to kind of wrap up this year and this podcast here, to be able to kind of show what the tools can do and how they can help make those decisions in season and use the data to be able to drive that. So appreciate your time, Bob. Thank you for this. And I guess to the listeners out there, check out Intellinair.com to be able to see kind of how NVision works and how it works with the rest of the AGMRI, both our insights during the season and our analyzing that allows you to be able to quantify some of these things a bushel per acre. So with that, thank you very much, Bob. And to all the farmers out there, good luck with harvest the rest of the year, and look forward to working with you next year.